Hi, this is Mark Laughlin speaking for the Ambidextral Gunfighter. If you've ever had some newbie gun owner muzzling you with this trigger on the finger, press that subscribe button. Press it real gently and carefully and hit that notification bell. Okay, so that's so much from my ode to Garand Thumb. This is episode 3 of the Rex Applegate series, and it's what I call Ambidextrous Applegate. I thought about like shortening it to AmbiGate or Appledextrous. Maybe someday, if this video ever really takes off and becomes popular, we'll do that. Maybe AmbiGate. But anyway, I want to start off with a quote from Rex Applegate's book, Bullseyes Don't Shoot Back. Since no target moves quite like a human being, especially one determined to shoot you before you shoot him, the ability to practice man-to-man gunfighting scenarios is also an invaluable means of honing your combat skills. Paintball guns shoot gelatin balls filled with brightly colored dyes and are excellent means of simulating realistic gunfight conditions. Besides enabling you to practice firing on moving human targets, they teach you the proper use of cover in a gunfight. Proper use of cover. You've often maybe heard me talk about optimal use of cover. Now, he's just talking about paintball very generically. I want to recommend a particular type of paintball called X-ball, the tournament paintball. The type of paintball that's played on airball fields about the size of a soccer field. Now, actually a football field, maybe a little smaller. Depends on your area. But
I got your back, Cody.
The reason, the cycle and this crucible of paintball, this intensity and the repeating fast intensity of the games, you will learn optimal use of cover, and that will mean becoming ambidextrous. With paintball, we're not trying to replicate totally realistic conditions. You don't necessarily have to have the paintball gun be like your real firearm. Paintball guns are way different. They're ballistically different. Basically, what you will learn from paintball is staying tight behind cover. None of this elbows sticking out. None of this shooting with the right eye out the left side of cover. You got to be ambidextrous and using both eyes. So, ambidextrous for optimal use of cover. Now, I recommend that you learn to become ambidextrous first on a rifle or carbine. And I have a video series called How to Become an Ambidextral Gunfighter. I'll have a link down in the description to that. It's, I don't remember, like 9 episodes, and they're pretty much all pretty short episodes. So you can get through it pretty quick, and you can become ambidextrous in about 2 weeks. Now, like I said, I learned to become ambidextrous through paintball mainly, and then I found when going out shooting with my handguns, this is way back in the day, I had a couple of Ruger 2245s, and I would shoot 2 hands, left and right hand at the same time at a dueling tree, and see which hand would beat the other hand. That's what you do when you have no friends and you have to go play by yourself. But I learned that I could do it on the carbines, I learned I could do it on the handguns, and the key part was that ability for either eye to pick up the sights. And then also for the handguns, it's a little bit easier on the handgun side of things, because if you're point shooting, which is what you'll be doing should be doing at about 80% of your practice, is point shooting either from retention or from just extended arm, out to about 7 yards. And then from there, you'll have that 15 to 20% odds that you'll go to the two-handed shooting. But for shooting from point shooting, one thing I do is once I became ambidextrous, that is, once I became fully or unconsciously ambidextrous, so I could switch from one hand to the other and not even really think about which hand I'm shooting with. I'm just thinking which hand, which works best for given the conditions that I'm dealing with, cover or terrain. And so once you become that way, where and this is what you'll learn in paintball. You just go in, dive in behind a bunker, and you're working left and right side of cover, and you're not thinking, okay, I'm shooting right-handed here, okay, I'm shooting left-handed here. It's just, you're just shooting, making optimal use of cover automatically. You don't think about it. But so once you get there, then I recommend carry and presentation initially left-handed. And there's a number of reasons for that. Let's start with one. If you're a law enforcement officer, is if you're doing a traffic stop, and this is in the United States of America, if you're approaching a vehicle from a traffic stop, if you're coming, the vehicle's here on your right-hand side, you're walking up to the driver's window. If your weapon is on your right-hand side, it has a worse angle on the driver's window. Whereas your left side, you get much improved angle. In fact, the closer you get to that driver, the better the angle is left-handed. Also, the other thing is if you ride motorcycles, and I used to ride motorcycles a lot, race motocross for years, but if you ride motorcycles, you know that your right hand is almost always going to be your throttle hand and your front brake hand. And you can control a motorcycle pretty well with just your right hand, but so you can't take that hand away from your motorcycle to draw a weapon. So you can ride your motorcycle and draw a weapon left-handed. So again, another advantage of being carrying and presenting, initially at least, left-handed. Now I say if you're perfectly ambidextrous at this point, you can initially start left-handed, but depending on then the use of cover, you'll switch left and right. Now another thing is that leaves you the ability, when you're drawing left-handed or carrying from the left side, is the ability to punch or stab, stab that motherfucker, with your right hand, which is for most people going to be their stronger, more violent hand, I guess you'd say. And it's also, because of that, more likely the hand to get injured. And therefore, another reason for carrying and presenting your firearm left-handed, because there's a good chance that leading up to the gunfight, this hand may have become, maybe you've broken some fingers from a punch, or got stabbed, blocked a knife, whatever. So there's a good chance this hand got injured. Let's leave the gunfighting hand nice and in good shape. Of course, you can shove, run a flashlight is another thing. Manipulate your phone to make a dial 911, all that kind of stuff. Open doors, maintain balance, as Rex Applegate says. If you're point shooting, it's always that other hand out to maintain balance, and that could be left or right, so not really a big difference there. Climbing up steep terrain, dealing with obstacles in your gunfighting area, Legos or whatever. Children, grabbing hold of children and dragging them into cover or whatever. So today we've got another. Let's see here, if we can get it out from underneath this winter bulk. We have a new addition to our armory, a KelTec P17, a second one actually. First one, we have the black one, and it's clear, loaded magazine there. This is I guess the olive drab, the green one. Looks really nice, and we're going to use this today to demonstrate left and right-handed shooting. Now, you can notice that dealing with gloves is going to be an issue. I'll probably switch to some thinner gloves to actually when I get to the shooting part of this. But I'm going to do a little bit of demonstration showing left and right-handed shooting with a pistol. Okay, here we have our very excellent cover here. Actually, it would be concealment. One thing, everybody says, oh, that's not cover, that's concealment. One thing to keep in mind, though, is even though something might be concealment and, not bulletproof, even a 22 will go through this and still have enough energy to be fatal to someone on the other side, shooting through walls or whatever. But to keep in mind is, while, yeah, that's definitely it's concealment, not cover. Also, though, most people, if they're shooting to someone behind this cover, like if there's somebody behind there and I'm shooting at them, it's really hard to get trained to where people will actually go and shoot through cover. It's almost always they're shooting around that cover, even though the cover is not bulletproof. And so there's a good chance that if you're behind concealment, for a lot of your opponents, that will work in a way for cover, I guess you'd say, because they're gonna try to avoid going through it. It's just kind of natural, instinctive thing. It takes a certain amount of presence of mind, which is hard. You know, that type of presence of mind is hard to maintain in a life and death situation. So anyway, let's get back to the AmbiGate stuff here. So basically, here we are, and I'm going to use point shooting, and so we can come, and I can actually be like aiming at the target through cover, and then leaning out, making my shot, bang, bang, coming back in. Now I come to the other side, I switch hands, and this time I'm going to use my left eye, and just come out enough to see the target, bang, bang, and come back in. So while I have my pistol aimed where I believe, pretty sure the target is, right through the cover, and then I come out from behind cover, and so I'm already right on target, always keeping the muzzle towards the opposition. And then switch over here. Now I switch to my right eye, and keep the pistol aimed all the time at your opposition. There's really no reason, if you're in a gunfight, to actually come down, come over, and back up. You think that the bad guy's right over there, he's the target, muzzle up the whole time as I come across. Always on the bad guy. So that's pretty simple. And that's what we'll call AmbiGate, Ambidextrous, Appledextrous, whatever, the Ambidextral Applegate. So, and the cool thing is while if you're using the two-handed and you're doing the sighted hold, switching from left to right, your left and right eyes are going to pick up the sights. But if you're point shooting and you're not actually using the sights, you'll find that this is actually pretty easy. You don't even have to go through the whole thing and training the eyes that you could to point shoot left or right-handed. Most people can pretty easily point with their right hand and have their finger pointed right at the target and point at the target with their left hand, and the finger will be pretty well pointed at the target as well. And that's pretty much all we're doing when we're point shooting, is we're basically, the muzzle is an extension of our index finger. So when I point shoot left hand, I'm just pointing what's called proprioceptically. That is pointing with my physical body, aiming with my body, not with my eyes. My eyes are actually focused on the target, where I want that bullet to hit on the target, and with practice, that bullet will get pretty damn close to the target point shooting. I would say for most people, you could pretty easy to learn to point shoot with good accuracy out to 7 yards. Some people can certainly learn to go further, but usually if you're out to beyond 7 yards, then it's time you can switch to this full extended and sighted aiming. You have the time to do that. And of course, if you're behind cover, like if we're up here behind cover and I'm protected right now, there's no rush, I will actually go ahead and get the two-handed hold, use my sights, come out, make the shot, come back in. I'm not necessarily going to use point shooting if I'm behind cover. it's pretty much point shooting when the immediacy of the moment requires getting a shot off fast. So it's bang. Okay. Okay, here we are from the front view, and I'm sighted up through my cover, my sights where I think the target is. Come around, bang, bang, just enough to clear cover. Only my right eye is seeing the target. Switch to left hand, come around, and I come around just enough to see my target. Bang, bang. Left eye is the only thing that sees the target. The cover is blocking my right eye. Bang.